Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and I am back. There should be no audio issues. I'll be double checking to make sure, but there should be none. I don't know what happened with that, but it should be fixed. Now, I'm probably going to be going over through the the racism thing that I made video that I did take down. And for the most part, guys, I don't take down videos. I will only take down videos, such as in this cases, because, well, they upload with no audio, and there's no reason to keep them on the internet if you can't even hear what I'm saying. So, I will upload re-upload all the videos as I can. Today I was supposed to, but my ping was about around a 7 or 8, so I immediately had to go to the drugstore to get some longer lasting pain meds, so that way I could not die. So yeah, so there's going with that. So I will only have maybe 1 or 2 videos coming out today. Tomorrow I'll try to I'll be waking up a bit earlier than usual, so that way I can try to pump out some other videos that were not released that were released as of a couple of days ago, that you guys can all watch and get and hear my commentary, etc., etc. So since you guys know what's going on and all that other great stuff, this is the racism thing and what I have to essentially my view on it. Racism has been a pretty huge thing in this country, to the point to where I would say that it's getting racist towards white people in particular, and not really focusing on, I would say, the on any other race besides just whites. Honestly, I don't know if people know, but if you were living in California, there was a 209 bill that was put onto the ballot or put into order about repealing it, and this would allow people and companies, etc., to discriminate not just against people that are black or of any minority or ethnic group, but along as well as with women, to discriminate against them as well. And this would have been horrendously bad, but luckily, somehow, the California is not as racist as I thought it was, and that was, well, removed from the issue. Now, that's one of the many things that I would like to say, that being in a democratic state and how I felt at the particular time was where racism kind of actually got me, to where it was in a democratic state but not in any other state to where I felt threatened or what have you. And that's just a true sense of it, because when you have your when you think you're going to be discriminated, so you know you're going to be discriminated against because of a bill that they're offering up, and you do actual legitimate research on it, you find out that being discriminated against is not great. And this only happened in probably the most progressive democratic state in the country, which would be California. And we have, and what I would say particularly on what some of these progressives want to go and talk about and all that, is reparations. Now, I understand that reparations happened maybe for the Jews and how they got paid and stuff like that, but it would only make sense for people to pay reparations for a group of people if, only if, the people of that day were the cause of it. And since that was the case, where people were the cause of the Jews being horribly treated, mostly, I mean, the Germans at that point in time, yes, reparations would be allowed. Now, I don't know about you guys, but as controversial as this may be, black people, from what I gather, was not usually rounded up or gathered, unless we're going to talk about slave ships, into gas chambers, being shot immediately, publicly, in droves, and by the millions. It was different for black people. For black people, black people were sold by their own people, their own African American people, for petty things like jewelry and stuff like that. That would pretty much sell them to other countries and have them sail off. Now, to also add insult to injury, is that majority things are that the blacks were not able to. Slavery was not essentially a wide thing, or it wasn't really a racist thing to begin with. Slavery was pretty much the beginning of the dawn of time, to where even if you have even old I would say religious or Christ movies, to where they specifically enslaved or had slaves of people of the same color that would make them do work. And this has been seen throughout a lot of these movies, to where it wasn't just black people, but it was people of every race, um, and it was mostly their own race. And that was the same thing for America. That was the same thing for any other country. And the reason was for this because we didn't have the transportation or the means to move people from one country to the next in vast majorities, or in a huge amount of people, because we didn't have the technology. To assume that racism was just a black thing is insanity, and that's all the Democrats want to portray it as. Don't let the Democrats fool you onto thinking that's the case. Now, we'll move on to reparations. Now, I had somebody specifically tell me that they want reparations, because the Jews got reparations, and in every instance, this person would always come down to, oh well, this person, oh this happened to this person, or these people did it, etc., so they should say, well, they deserve it, or etc., which is stupid. Two wrongs don't make a right, and just because this happened to people does not mean you deserve it. The same thing as, oh well, this whole family got raped. I guess the rest of that family should be put in jail immediately because the family was raping a whole bunch of people for millennia. That's just asinine. That had nothing to do with it. The same thing with white people of today had nothing to do with slavery at all. They should not be forced to be paid for things that they did not cause. They just so happen times have massively changed since then. And here's my biggest problem when you have reparations. Put this for instance, and I mean actual. I would say black people, but I think you could also portray this as white people as well. Is that, say for instance, black person comes into your home, you treat them nothing with kindness, and treat them as one of your own. You even will come in and particularly say, "Well, hi, family," etc., and and whatnot, and it's mostly due to the fact that they have treated you well, they have not misplaced you, but at the same time, you say that you want reparations, and with the reparations is that you're forcing that family that have particularly very much of has very much treated you well, and forcing them to pay you something that they did not cause you any sort of racism, any sort of hate towards you at all, but you still want them to pay. And I think that comes down to either entitledness or a small hatred for white people, because of that mere fact that you would say such a thing even though that you've been treated so kindly. I think that is a hatred towards white people, that is, even though it may not be a large amount, it is enough, in my opinion, to be where there's some type of hatred for white people, even though you have people treated you nicely, you would still ask them to pay reparations to you. And I have friends who are like brothers. They are like family. Yes, they are white people. Go figure. Yeah, the Crimea River far leftists for having white people as friends, because you obviously don't care for white people, and the only reason, and for one thing or another, I tend to end up having to be their voice for the most part, because whenever they have to address issues, they're laughed at, they're being knocked out of workplaces by a good margin, and they're not being catered for. A lot of people are being racist towards white people today, and it's being reversed. The racism is coming back, and it is coming alive. But the odd thing is, it's not towards black people; it's towards white people, and this has been quite evident as of today. And I had to be their voice. I have known some since third grade, some from high school, and they are brothers. They are family. I consider them family, and they have never treated me with distrust. They have never treated me with hate or anything. They have never even belittle me in any sort of way unless obviously it was a friendly gesture. And that happens among friends. You always joke with people that you are very close to. And as I said, these are my brothers. And I would never ask them in my life to have them give me reparation money because of what their people or what their ancestors did back in the past. They have never done or worth something for me to do that. And I even told to one friend in particular that if you were forced to give me reparation money, I would give you back all of it, because there's no way I would ever have my friends pay me reparation money for something that they did not do. It's completely asinine, it's insanity, and it's just completely ridiculous. So you have to think about this, particularly with black people as well. If you're asking that type of stuff, you have a hatred towards white people, and that's just plain fact. You can't say you don't, because it's worse if you have friends that are white people and you would still be asking reparations, because they're going to also have to pay things for that too. And that's what's so ridiculous about it. So you don't care because they're beneath you, or you think they're beneath you because of you asking for reparations. You can say no, or say no or whatever, but that's just the reality of it. You have this some type of hatred towards white people or something, because why would you have somebody that has treated you nothing but kindness for reparations for something they did not do? That is a form of hatred or something of distrust or whatever towards white people. Say what is you must. Try to backpedal as much as you want, but that's just the case. And the same thing with white people wanting to have reparations for anything else that's been done to them that the people of today didn't cause. And that's another thing too. Reparations would happen for majority of people, I would say, that have been mistreated, like the Irish or white people in African countries or any other country that has obviously mistreated horrendously about with of other races. But America treated the Chinese like absolute garbage. We had the grape of Nanjing or Nanking, which, by the way, is not talked about at all to what the Japanese did. Pretty much what that was, it was a massive raping of women, killing of children, etc. The most brutal acts that I could possibly imagine. This happened by the Japanese, but this is not known or told by many people. If you ask them what the rape of Nanjing was, they couldn't answer you because that's been so well hidden from Japanese history. It's so well hidden from Japanese history that the Japanese don't even talk about it or mention it at all. That's how much of a shame it is to them. So, there are people and races that have been treated horribly, and you would have to give them reparation money for all the atrocities and stuff like that. And it's just completely asinine to do so, because the people of today did not do those atrocities. Yeah, it is ridiculous. What I have experienced in racism, I can't say, because I don't look at people with race in my eyes. I look at people as people. You are a person that is either a garbage human being who treated me like crap, or you are a person or you're just a person that is a good person. Race doesn't come up because I don't care about race. Race does not matter. My closest friends are white, so the race doesn't really come to a real point to me. I have friends that have been all core of different races that are amazing people, and to think that I would force them to do something like that is completely asinine. I think that we need to stop with the whole reparation thing. Reparation is just going to cause divisiveness, it's going to cause hate. And the reason why it's going to cause hate is for this one specific reason. When you force a group of people to pay for things that they did not do, and you're labeling them as the bad guys, even though they did not do it, that is going to cause hate towards a certain group. And then you really will have racism, because you are hating a group of people that had nothing to do with what happened previously in the past time. So, cause the divisiveness with the reparations, and then cause the racism with the reparations, because all you'll get is exactly what you don't want, the racism. because people will not stand for being hated upon. And when you force them to do things that they don't want to do, that immediately comes with hate, and it's happening with the LGBTQ plus or slash gay pride stuff as well. People are starting to hate them, and this is not due to the fact that they hated gay people or any of these people before. Is because it's constantly pushing in their face and they're tired of it. That's just reality. So it is what it is, guys. Alright, guys, that's my view on it. That's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share, as always. Take care.